And so today we will delve a little bit deeper into the select statement. And today we will do a lot of practices and a lot of exercises to master retrieving data from one table. So again, this is kind of a recap what we have talked about SQL, and we talked about the analogy of the pantry and how database is a house for data, similar to the pantry, which is the house for food. And also we talked about entities and entity relationship diagram, and we said an entity is a thing or an object that we want to keep track of, and we need to keep to collect characteristics or attributes about. And when we have an entity, also every entity should have a primary key which uniquely identifies it or each record in that entity or in that table. And when we use this primary key, similar, which in the example we talked about the customer ID, when we use this key in a different table, then it becomes a foreign key. This is just a quick recap to what we have talked about. So this is our focus today. We will focus on extracting data from a single table, and that's chapter 2. So the expectation is that you will read chapter 2, and then you will get the chance to do some practices or some exercises that are within the chapter. And also I will go kind of try to summarize what the chapter also provides you with exercises in exercises or in a handout that I already provided to you in this day or in this section for today's lecture. So this is a recap of the select statement, and we say the anatomy of the select statement starts with the select, and then in the select clause we state or we list the names of the fields or the columns of the table, and then in the from we state the name of the table that we want to retrieve data from, and then in the where is if we have conditional expression or we want to narrow down our output. And group by and having, we will actually talk about them in next lecture. And order by is like basically sorting, when we sort the output based on ascending or descending. And also we talked about data dictionary, and we talked about what we mean by table and attributes, which are the columns. So this is one thing that we want to talk about today is the where clause. So in the where clause we can use some useful operators such as and or not, and also there is a precedence between not and or. Actually this is the precedence, not and or. Not gets executed, whatever is in the clause for the known, not gets executed first and gets executed next, and or gets executed after. So this is basically the precedence or the priority of execution. Not gets executed first. And then also we will be using today in the SQL exercises, we will be using some of the comparison operators such as equal, not equal. So as you can see those two here, this means not equal, and then greater than, less than, greater or equal, and less or equal. And then we will use the between, in, like, and null. Actually we will use all of those in the exercises that we will do today. So now let's practice, and to practice what we will need to do is, so I will minimize this guy, and then I will go to day 2. So we need to download this handout, intro to SQL handout, and I already have it here. So what I will do is I will minimize this window and I will put it here. So this handout here gives you more information about how to get into my educator and which database we are going to use. So we will be using the SQL Server or SQL Azure, and the table that we will be using is the Red Cat, and we will use the Advanced Query Editor. So we have here our ERD or the table and also the columns that we have, and this is kind of a reminder for us here, the select and the order of the select statement. and its keywords. So now we will start by, actually I would recommend that you download this file and you follow along as I go with those exercises, and you put your answers here for your own reference. That way when you practice for the quiz or for the exam, it will make it much handy. Alright, so now I will go to my educator. So I'll just type my educator, and then I will navigate to the course where my course is. So the course is SQL. And then what I will so I will go to menu, and then I will go to advanced query editor. So that's what I'm interested in. All right. Alright, so we will actually work on this guy, but before I start, I need to select the correct database. So the correct database is SQL Server at Azure or at MyEducator. So I will use Azure, it's more, and Redcat 1 is the database that we are going to use. Alright, so now I will minimize this guy, and that way I can see what I want. The questions here in the handout, and I'm going to answer them here in this window. Alright, so now let's do this. Now the first question is asking me to list all data that I have in this table, in the simplified sales table. So now what I will say is I will select, and then I will use the asterisk, which actually refers to select all. So it will help me to select all. So select all, and then I need to specify from. So I'm basically following this logic here. Select, and then from the same order that we talked about. So they want me to select all data in this table. So select all from simplified sales. So now I run it, and as you can see here, I have all the columns, and I have the data from this table. All right, so that was the first one. And now I will move on to the next one. So it is asking me to list all sales. So I'll select all sales of sneakers. So now as you can see here, the sneakers, you can find them here under the field or the column called category. So what I will say here, I will select. So now I need to narrow this down with adding a where clause. So I will say where category equals, in single quotation, since this is text data type, and then I will say sneakers. Now I'll run it, and you will see that I will have only sneakers in the category. All right, so that was number one. So for number two, list sales of black sneakers. So now they are asking me only for color, only black. Because here I have black, I have gray, I have different colors, but they want me to limit my output only to black color. So, and then I will say here, and color equals, in quotation, in single quotation, black. As you can see here, I'm not concerned about the capital letters or actually the case, because SQL is not case sensitive. So I'll just run this guy, and you will see that I have all the products or sneakers that are black here. So now I will move on to the third. List sales of black sneakers made by Nike. So now made by Nike, what is the field or the column that I need to retrieve this data from. So as you can see here, manufacturer name will help me identify the Nike. So now what I will say, so they are saying list sales of black sneakers made by Nike. So now they want me also to add another and say manufacturer name. So we need to make sure that we are spelling it correctly, and here it is exactly where I got it from. Manufacturer equals, also in single quotation because it is text data type, Nike. So now I'll run it and you will see that I will have only Nike in my manufacturer name field. So now we solved number 1, 2, and 3. So let's move on to number 4. List all sales of sneakers sold in April. So now we need to add something about dates. So what I will say, I will just say it from scratch. Select all from simplified sales. So now they want only, so for sneakers, so where category equals sneakers. So now they want only for April. So April, that is January, February, March, April. April is month number 4. So in this case, what I can do is I say where month, so and month, and then what is the field that has the date in it. So it is the sale date. So in this case, I will use the date or function or the month function. So where it says month in parentheses, sale date, and then equals 4 because it's for April. So now I'll run it and you will see that I will have only April. Okay, so that solved that problem. Now what if we want only to show the category, color, manufacturer of sneakers sold in April? So we don't want to show all. We just want to show those lists of the category. So in this case, in the select clause, I will put those those fields or columns. So category, comma, and then color, comma, manufacturer, so manufacturer name. So I'll run it. Now I have only those 3 columns. Okay, very simple so far, very straightforward, very logical. So now we'll move on to number 6. So list sales of black sneakers and show manufacturer only. All right, so now black sneakers only. So, and they want me to show only manufacturer, so I'll just put select manufacturer name from simplified sales where category equals sneakers, and then they said, so let's see, what is it? List sales of black sneakers, show manufacturer only. Okay, and color equals black. So this is exactly what they want us to do. Alright, so now as you notice, I have Nike more than once and I have Puma several times. So instead, I just want to see what are the unique manufacturer names that we have in this database. So in this case, what I will use is a keyword called distinct. So we always put it right after that select keyword. So I will say select distinct and then space manufacturer name. Now you will see I will have only those unique manufacturer names, so I don't have repeated manufacturer names in this case. Alright, so now it is asking me, number 7, to sort those guys, those manufacturer names, by ascendingly or alphabetically. So what I will do now, we have used select clause, the from clause. I will use the order by clause. So in this case, manufacturer name, and then I can say ask ascendingly, meaning from A to Z. So now we have Adidas and we have alphabetically organized. So now number 8. So question number 8, what if we want to a range of dates? So we want to get an output that shows us only, let's say, only a range of date. So for this we will, so that's number 8. So for number 8, let's say I want to select all, or I just want to select let's say run this one, and I want also to specify this only to between this date and this date. So let's do this. So I can just add and sale date, which is basically the first column, and then I can just say between, and then I can just specify for when 2014, and in this case I'll put for then 2014. So now I will run it. It will specify only, it will reduce because I am limiting it only to those dates. So you get the idea now how to run the date function or to use the between keyword. So what if we want a particular year? So let's say that I want a particular year. So let's say I want to select all from simplified sales where year sale date. So why I'm using sale date, because actually that's the only date. So there it is, the only column that is referring to date. So I'm using that sale date year equals, let's say 2015. Now you will notice that the sale date, everything is 2015. So you get the idea now how to use the year function, the month function, and also we can use the day function. So let's say day sale date equals, let's say day number 12. So you got the idea now. You see that here is our output. All right, so now we will move on and we will be using we will learn about how to create our own columns that are not existing in that table, but we will derive them from existing columns. So we'll create our own columns. So let's do that, and we will learn about using aliases. So let's do this. So it's asking me to calculate the sales tax for every sale. Show sale date, first name, last name, product name, and price. So I'll just say select exactly what they asked me to do. Sale date, comma. They want me to show the first name, and first name, last name, and then product name, and then price. but they say they want me to show or to calculate sale date, which is 6% of price. So price, then I will put a comma. Now in order to create that column, I will just create the product of price times 0.06, which is the 6%, and then I will say from simplified sales. So now when I run it, you will notice that I will not have a column name for this particular column. So you notice that I don't have a column name here. Everything I have here what we call it the tax sale, which is 50 times 6%. It gave us this product or this value. So now I need to give it a meaningful name. So there are different ways you can give it a name, but for me I prefer to use an alias. So I will say as sale tax. I will use the camel case naming convention. So sale tax and no spaces. So now I have really nice column. So in the book it gives you also another way where you put actually one column, and in every row you will see that sale tax, but that's not practical. I prefer to have the name of field this way. So now let's move on to the next question. Let's see, let's move on to this one, number 4. So now also add shipping cost. So they want me to add the shipping cost, and the shipping cost is 8% of the price. So I will say price times 0.08 as shipping cost. Alright, so now I run it, and you will notice that I have a new column called shipping cost. So now they want us to add the total or to create a total. So I will just say a comma, and then the total will be basically price times, so the tax, which is the price times 6%. So I'll put it here. I'll put it in parentheses. So it is plus, so plus the shipping cost, which is this guy, price times 0.08 plus the price. All right. Alright, so I will call it as, so all of those as, and then I call it total. So I'll run it, and you will see here now I have actually the sum of those 3 columns gives me 57. So you got the idea how we created our columns in a very nice way. So now they want us to order this output in an ascending way or in a descending way. So so in this case we will need to use an order by, and they want us to organize it in a descending way starting from high to low. So now what I will do is I will add a new row, and this row here will be called order by, and then I need to order by the total, which is this column that I just created. Order by total and disk, which is short for descending. So I'll run it, and then I will see my output. You will see that it is descending, going from down up to down. All right, so now that's what we did. Now what if we want to order by more than one column? So in number 7, it is asking us to order by, or to sort our output by sale date descending. So by sale date descending, and then total ascending. All right, so you will see that the precedence, the first precedence will be to order the sale date, and then the second order will be the total ascending. So you got the idea here. If we have the same date, you will see that it is going from it is ascending from low to high with total. So you got the idea now. We can actually use order by with more than one column. So now we will move on. We will learn about how to use the operators, the or, not, and. So I will stop here and then I will start another video here.